Welcome and thank you for your interest. My name is Catherine Idzorik, and I'd like to introduce this research, which is focused on comparing the ways in which community-based disaster response organizations, or CBDROs, are localized in different contexts, with a specific focus on case studies of the Seattle Emergency Hubs in the US and the Sendai Bosai leaders in Sendai City, Japan. This research is a collaboration between the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, the International Research Institute of Disaster Science, and Tohoku University. Seattle and Sendai both face hazards that have prompted the development of CBDROs, as communities know they will not be able to rely solely upon government assistance in a catastrophic event. In the case of Sendai, this is based on the experience of the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake. In the Pacific Northwest of the U.S., where Seattle is located, hazard scientists predict a large earthquake on the scale of Japan's 2011 event in the foreseeable future. The importance of CBDROs has increased in both the U.S. and Japan in recent years, with new roles and structures emerging in both countries. Here we focus on the case studies of the Seattle Emergency Hubs Network in Seattle and the Sendai Bosai Leaders Program in Sendai City, Japan. As previously mentioned, the role of CBDROs in both cases is to complement the response efforts of governments and agencies. CBDROs in the two locations also have a linked history. The Community Emergency Response Team program, known as CERT in the U.S., was inspired by Japan's Jishubo neighborhood-based disaster risk reduction training programs. By comparing the varied functions and integration of the Seattle Emergency Hubs and the Sendai Bosai leaders with governments and other organizations, we hope to gain insight into the successes of and challenges faced by localized CBDROs. The Sendai Bosai Leaders Program develops disaster preparedness and response volunteers through chonekai, or neighborhood association networks. These kinds of jishubo, or voluntary disaster prevention organizations, are standardized throughout Japan. Sendai Bosai Leaders focuses on a holistic approach to reducing human and economic disaster loss, and its trainings target skills relevant both to disasters and to everyday life. The Seattle Emergency Hubs Network is a coalition of neighborhood-based volunteer groups coordinating to improve community-based disaster preparedness and response. The hubs operate parallel to the Community Emergency Hubs program organized by the City of Seattle's Office of Emergency Management, which designates locations for emergency gathering and information sharing. The Seattle Emergency Hubs primarily focus on earthquake preparedness through their advocacy trainings, drills, and meetings. This is a graphic showing the structure and relationship of the two programs, which we invite you to look at in more detail on the poster. In comparing the two organizations, there are some similarities and some differences. Both the Seattle Emergency Hubs and the Sendai Bosai Leaders are run by volunteers and supported by city government. However, the hubs are completely independent, while SBL is directly under the control of Sendai City. Challenges faced by the programs include a lack of enthusiasm in some cases for the SBL program, which has many appointed participants, and inconsistent coverage of the Hubs program in some cases because it is entirely self-motivated and not administered by the city. Opportunities include increasing relevance of disaster preparedness activities through integration with local organizations, which is a regular practice for Sendai Bosai leaders and which could be developed further in the case of the Seattle Emergency Hubs. We find that in particular, the degree of integration with local government and with other community organizations present both opportunities and challenges for CBDROs. Thank you, and we hope you take a moment to look at our poster. We would be interested to hear your comments and questions.